Oh, kia ora koutou. So to get us started, can everybody please ground their feet on the ground? And if you can kind of, in your seat, kind of sit up right a bit, and we're just going to do a little bit of breathing. Now, if everybody, soon I want to get you to close your eyes. And I want to take you through a little bit of an experience. And I want you to open your eyes when you start to hear the sound of the land, which is going to come through some taonga puoro, some Māori instruments. So that's the point when you open your eyes, okay? So everybody could please close your eyes. And everybody take a deep breath in, hakiroto, and hold it. And release. Hakiroto. Haki waho. Haki roto. Haki waho. I te tīmatanga. In the beginning, God, Io, created the heavens and the earth. The earth was chaos and waste, and darkness was on the surface of the deep. And the Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God, was hovering upon the surface of the water. Ko te kore te whiwhia, te kore te rawea, te kore iai, te kore te wiwia. Nā te kore te pō. Te pō nui, te pō roa, te pō uri uri, te pō kere kere, te pō tifa tifa, te pō kitea. Te pō tango tango, te pō whā, te pō namu namu ki tae ao, te pō tāhuri atu, te pō tāhuri mai ki tae ao. Ki te whai ao, ki te ao mārama, tihe, mauri ora. And then God said, let there be light. And there was light. Te ao mārama. Tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki roto, tuia ki waho. Tuia te here tangata. Ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao. Ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao. Weave together what is in the heavens and above, and weave it to what is on ki raro. Weave it within and weave it outside. Let's unite and weave the people together from ngā haue whā. Tūturu whakamaua kia tīna. Haumie, huie, tāki. Tuatahi. The first acknowledgement goes to Io Matua Kore. Te tīmatanga o ngā mea katoa. Tēnā koe e pā. Tuarua, ki te mana whenua o tēnei rohe. To the people who have been on these lands for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. To the iwi of Tainui, me Ngāti Haua, me te kingi Māori, rire, rire hau, pai mā rire. Tua toru ki a koutou katoa. Ngā tangata o ngā haue whā, from the people from the four winds, from all over. Tēnā koutou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora, everybody. Kia ora, kia ora. Or as our Uncle Ashley Bloomfield says, kia ora koutou katoa. Every time he says it, I'm like, bro, you're the man, Mr. Bloomfield, eh? Or as the other uncle says, he's like, what does he go? He goes, kia ora whānau, hee hee. Another day in paradise. Yeah. No, honestly, it's so good to be with you all. If you don't already know, called Matt Renata toku ingoa. My name is Matt Renata. I'm born and raised in a place called Te Upoko Te Ika, or Wellington. Are there any Wellingtonians in the house? Oh, there's our Salvation Army whānau. But yes, I'm born and raised there in a place called Te Awa Kairangi, or more specifically, it's the original name for Lower Hutt. You were introduced to my beautiful wife this morning, my whaiaipo, Rachel. She was the one standing on the end. All right, a little bit about me. Here's a photo of my whānau. Ki te taho o tōku pāpa, so that's my father sitting in the middle there with the opposite hairstyle as me. You know what I mean? Ki te taho o tōku pāpa, my dad was born and raised in a place called Waikari Moana. Engari, we whakapapa back to Ngāti Porou, Te Tai Rāwhiti on the east coast. Oh, there we go, Ngāti Porou in the house. Also Ngāti Kahununu ki Wairoa. And also my nana was born and raised on the Wanganui River, Ati Haunui a Pāpārangi. And ki te taho o tōku māma on my mother's side, no India oku tūpuna. So we whakapapa to West India from a place called Gujarat. So we whakapapa to Gujarat on that side. And that's the rest of my whānau that was in that picture. Now, to start off my kōrero, I want to introduce myself to you a little bit more. And I need to start by saying I love my mum and dad a lot. But growing up, we weren't raised in an environment where we were encouraged in our identity. So I had no idea what it meant to be Māori. I had no idea what it meant to be Gujarati. So we were raised in a world where I was kind of like on autopilot. Or another way of putting it was that I was in the darkness. I was in the unknown. I was unpurposed. And so when you're in that state, you start to find things or explore stuff that isn't maybe you. Fast forward when I was in high school, where most of you guys are at, I was a major blender, eh? Because I didn't know who I was just kind of blending over there, and I wonder what are these guys up to, and I go and hang out with the skaters. I learned how to kickflip, you know. And then they got me into like Iron Maiden and Metallica and all these things. Then I go and hang out with the other crew over there. I blended with them, and they're listening to like Tupac and Biggie, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, like this is what's up. And then I ended up hanging out with like a whole lot of different crowds, and I was just blending because I actually didn't know who I was. I was lost, and I was getting caught up in things that other lost people get caught up in. My story has a bit of trauma in it, and so, you know, when I was younger, there were people that were unkind to me. I was bullied for being Māori. I was bullied for being Indian, and so I just wanted to blend in with my Pākehā mates because that was the safe place to be. And then I started to get into things like drugs and alcohol, and like, when I say alcohol, like, I was drinking like at least 3 or 4 times a week. I was in unhealthy relationships. I didn't even really know my own, like, what it actually meant to be a man. There was no one that taught me this is what it means to be a healthy man, a strong man. And so I started to get caught up in things that I shouldn't have. And in the middle of this darkness, I got invited to an Easter camp. Now, let me take you back, like way back in the time, to 2005. That's not way back, eh? That's like, there's other people like, that's not even ages ago. And there's other people here, it's like, that's when I was born. No. And I got invited to an Easter camp. And so this brother came up to me, his name is Logan. He's like, bro, do you want to come to Easter camp? And I was like, oh, what's the Easter camp about, bro? And he goes, we get together as Christians and we praise Jesus for what he did for us on the cross. And I was like, no, thank you. It's the last thing I want to be doing on my Easter. And he was like, oh, come on, bro. And I was like, I'm not sure. And then he told me I was going to be a game of rugby at Easter camp because he knew I played for Wellington Māoris. I was like, bro, I'm coming. I ended up going to this Easter camp in 2005 to play a game of rugby and smash a whole lot of Christians. Sounds real bad. I'm real sorry about that, but it was the truth. And I remember I met these two loud-ass Australian women. One of them was Dawn Withers and another one was Marilyn Withers. And they were loud-ass. And I remember they were like, who are you, mate? And I'm like, whoa, you're like in my bubble. And they just project this aroha, this love that I was like, even though they're loud, I'm kind of attracted to this wairua or this love that's going on. And later on that night, on a Friday night, I heard this message about the God of the heavens and the earth. And he weaved the heavens together and the earth together, and he actually weaved me together. And I was like, And so they did this whole thing. Do you want to give your life to God, or do you want to make a decision? And I was like, I don't know if I'm keen to go all in. I'm just not too sure about this Jesus fella. And so I went and took myself into one of the darkest places I could find in that arena. It wasn't even an arena, it was a college, Hatapaura College to be precise. And I went and found myself a corner and I yelled out to God in here. And in here I was swearing, are you effing real? Is all this I heard about you for real? Because I hate my life. I don't even know who I am. I don't even know if I have any purpose. I'm ready to try and find the fastest way to end this pain. And the drugs and the relationships weren't working. So what was the next way out? And what I can't explain to you was I had a supernatural experience where I truly meant it from here. And this wairua, or this light came and it filled me from the head and filled my whole entire body. And at that point, I knew I was all in. Now I want to go back to the scripture that was spoken at the beginning of my kōrero, in the beginning. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Can we get that up on the screen by any chance? Is that okay? And I want to focus on these three things: chaos, waste, and darkness. Now when it said the earth was chaos and waste, there's actually substance there. And so I went back and looked at the original kupu that the Bible was written in. And that word chaos is actually without form or formlessness or not yet reality. Waste means that there's space there or emptiness or has not been purposed. And when it says the darkness was on the surface of the deep, there was a secret place. That's what the original word means, a secret place, an unknown. A thing that is unclear or difficult to understand. And so when the Spirit of God was in the middle of all of that, there wasn't nothing. There was darkness there, but not all darkness is bad. And so this part where the Ruach Elohim actually takes the substance that's in the darkness, and then he speaks, he does a karanga, and goes, let there be light. And by the kupu and by the words, God speaks our world into being. But that substance was already there, hovering in the darkness. In a similar way, we just sung that waiata, and I buzz out how on this worship team is. Like, these guys are so on. But in the beginning, i te timatanga, there was God, but then there was te kore, te pō, te ao marama. And that stuff that I was saying was all the different levels of te pō, or the darkness. Te pō nui, te pō roa, te pō te kitia. There's all these levels of darkness. And then out of that, God says, let there be light. It is Easter Friday. I don't know why they call it Good Friday. Tell me what's good about this Friday. chocolate, no, you know. And here we have Ihu Koraiti. We have Jesus, who's made one of the biggest sacrifices 2021 years ago. I'm not actually 100% sure about that, but back then, around about that time, he makes one of the biggest sacrifices. We took the communion this morning. He shed his body. He shed his blood for the forgiveness of our sins. So when I was that young 18-year-old boy, just turned 18 at that Easter camp, I had no idea the significance that decision was going to make. I didn't realize that sacrifice that Jesus made, how much it was going to change me. Because the more I fell in love with Jesus, the more Māori I started to become. The more I fell in love with Jesus, the more Gujarati I started to become. I started to understand that there was things that were hidden in this universe that's inside of me that God was trying to call out of the darkness into the life. And so when Jesus is in that tomb, what's going on? In this tomb, there's a darkness in there. But is Jesus actually in that tomb? Or is something else going on? Because we're getting ready for Jesus to literally change the earth. Ihu Koraiti changed time. It was going to be the biggest thing that was ever going to rock our planet, our solar system. And I want to show this picture from the tomb to the womb. Because it says in Psalm 139 that God created us in the secret place. It says in Psalm 139, for you have created my conscious. You knit me, consciousness. Oh, my bad, whānau. You knit me together in my mother's womb, in the whare tangata. What is God weaving together? He is weaving, every single one of you that are sitting here, young, old, no matter what your ethnicity is, no matter what nation you're from, wove you together in your mother's womb. And he is weaving heaven and earth together in your mother's womb because he's weaving your spiritual gifts. I don't know if you realize that, but you have spiritual gifts. You have superpowers. We're like the Avengers. Like, that would be gangster. You know, to like be able to do, what is it, Avengers Endgame or whatever. You actually have spiritual gifts. You have passions. You have the things that get you excited. You have love languages. Everybody loves love. Everybody loves to be loved and to give love. What is that? He's knitting that together in your mother's womb. I praise you, God, because I am awesome and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows that well. My frame was not hidden from you, God, because when I was made in that secret place, that darkness, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. I just want to skip forward. These are the key things that you need to know out of the darkness. I te timatanga, in the beginning, there was already substance there, and God purposed it and spoke it into being. In a similar way, Jesus is about to emerge from that tomb, and he is about to change the world. In the same way that you're knitted together in your mother's womb, every single one of you in here is purposed. You might not believe it, but you are. And what does that mean to be all in? And I'm telling you, when I went all in 2005, it has been an amazing journey. It's been a difficult journey. There's been challenges, there's been blessings, and when they come, you just take them as they come. But you allow the Spirit of God to fill you when you go all in. He can change your life. I'm going to end on this. There is a great move of God coming to Aotearoa, and it's already started. There's a whole lot of you that are out there that probably already felt it and already sensed that the wairua that the Spirit of God, the Ruach Elohim, is hovering over our nation. He is wanting to wake us up. He is wanting us to know who we are and what we're destined to be. He's crying out, he's doing that karanga, I want you to be all in. And if you're not ready to do that, then kei te pai. But if you are, well, I'm going to invite my brother Blue up here, because he seems to be the ambassador of all in on the iron sheet or whatever. But there's some of you that might already be, I'm already all in. But there's stuff that is hiding in the unseen realm, in that darkness, that maybe you want to know, God, what is my purpose? What is my identity? Who am I? For my Pākehā brothers and sisters here, you have been made, you might whakapapa back to Ireland or Scotland or England. You have parts of your being that are so beautiful. You guys have your tartans or your kilts, and every single line on that represents something. For us as Māori, we wear them as moko, as our identity on us. Are there people out there that are Māori, or your islanders, you whakapapa back to Hawaii? Is there anyone out there? Check your hands up. From Polynesia, Melanesia, Micronesia, our ancestors could navigate the biggest ocean in the world and never get lost without Google Maps. Those are the gifts that God has placed in you, in your DNA and in your bones. And so what does it mean to wake those things up? So, Blue, do you have any whakaaro, bro, any thoughts on all in?
Yeah. And so I want to talk about love. And when you're in the darkness, Matt, and you find love, you see love, and you experience love, it's terrifying, and you want to run away from it, you know, and you wrestle with it and that, but you're compelled to what you saw, the araha and Dawn and Marilyn. And some of you might be feeling like there's a kingdom moment happening right now inside you, and it's overwhelming, and it's quite terrifying, and that's fine. And some of you may be feeling nothing at all, but you're saying, I don't want to stay in this place, I don't want to stay trapped in this darkness, and I consciously just want to choose. And it's kind of like you walk the road, the path to create the road, and I'm going to choose something different for my life, and I want to live a life of purpose. And there's a saying that all are invited to the banquet of Jesus. The only ones who will not be at the banquet are those who choose not to come. But the invitation remains. And so if you want to jump off the bank and be all in, if you want to discover who this person of Jesus is, if you want to hear the words in your spirit saying, come follow me, and respond to that, then now is the time to do that. Now is the time. So I ask you to stand and come and follow, and do that now.